Hey everybody, it's April 30th. We made it. We made it to the end of the month with the MLB algorithm. And it was exhausting. It was a fun run. There was I believe an 11 or 12 day pick of the day streak that won, uh culminating in the last 2 days losing, including yesterday with the Butt Pirates losing in Oakland and Philadelphia losing to ruin my round robin last night. Both of them, especially Philly blowing it late, was really painful. All those things being said, the month of May is going to be, I can't even explain how abnormally hectic the month of May is going to be. 2 eye surgeries and a family house that's been in the family for 30 years that I'm in charge of selling. All of that is happening in like the first 2 weeks of the month. So I am not doing baseball in May because I don't even think I can. I'm not even going to be inside of a house sometimes. I'm going to be all over the place. So what I wanted to leave everybody with was the availability to purchase a copy of this at any point. I'll have it available for $50, and I'll send you the most recent version that I have. And I want to show you the process from start to finish, even though I've done many tutorial videos about how to update this file already this year. I want to show you mid-season here how, what do I do every day and why do I tell you that I can't do this every day, why it's so extensive. And you're going to see that in this video, how it is about, it's a good half hour of work of updating, plus updating lineups throughout the day, plus doing analysis on the macro and trying to find the best combinations and updating scores at the end of the day. All that being said, it feels like a couple hours of work about throughout the day. So if you call it 2 hours a day and you're looking at 30, 31 days in a month, you're looking at 60, 70 hours a month. And so when I look at the amount of money that people want to offer me to do this, especially after you already have a copy and you can be updating it yourself, the money ends up being like $10 an hour that you guys would pay me to do this. And that's just, I'm going to lose so much more wagering on sports doing that I just have to say no. So I'm not doing it in May. The next time you'll see me will be videos about WNBA, which starts in the middle of May. That's exciting and that's a good time. One of the best sports to bet on. So that's where my next video series will be, is when a lot of these other things, including my eye surgeries, get done, and then WNBA starts. So all that being said, how do you do this? You buy a copy of this file for $50. It's relatively inexpensive with considering what's offered in here. How do you update this? What do you do? Well, it really starts with the end of yesterday. So when you put in the scores, in the final scores in yesterday, as I've done, you refresh, you get a look at the win-loss. You can go and you can run the macro after you've cleared out this TQ pivot. Usually you're going to clear this out completely and there'll be nothing in here. And there'll be no TQ pivot. When you refresh, you get this look. But I did run it after the results from Monday the 29th. And there were a few combinations, more than a few combinations, that won 9 games, even though the combination string we used of 178 only goes 6 and 5. It still wasn't bad. I mean, I don't know what happened with Pittsburgh, but Philly should have won. They blew it late. Atlanta blew it in the ninth. They were up 1-0, lost 2-1. And this game was extremely close, and it was also way down here. I actually felt like this was a great looking combination string and run until the very, very, very end of the night. Now, there were better combination strings, and you can use them. There's one that I saw last night that was interesting, which was one of these ones down here. It was 158 or something. Let's see here. This tells you how many wins the combination string right here had, and it was combination. There's an 8% margin. This is showing you the average margin of all these combinations. It was combination, was it 246? One of these had 9%. Hold on. 213. I think it was 213, because I looked at it and I thought it was actually really good. So you change the combination string number here. These are combinations of variables. Yeah, this was okay. Yeah, this is the one I liked. I'll show you why. So the combinations are in this combos sheet. This is the combination number over here, and this is what distribution of the variables, the percentage of the distribution. You can totally change these. I wrote a formula to do some random to make it random. I don't want to make this a super long video about combination strings, but this is going to be a super long video. This is why I charge for this. And I'll say that I think the work that's done for this to do an entire month, I think it's worth $200 from one person. And only one person offered me that. And that's a guy that won like, 3.5 grand the first day he used the algorithm. So I understand why he's willing to pay that. Most people are willing to pay like 50 to $100. And it's if I had 100 subscribers paying that, yeah, I could charge everybody 50 or $100, but I don't. I've got like less than 10 really that want to pay me every month. So you see that's why I won't do it. It's just not enough money, not enough for the time. So anyway, you can change the combination strings here. And when we look at that combination string that we just had of 213, look at what that does. It ends up going 9-2, only losing Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, which is why the comment in the video I made yesterday was the entire state of Pennsylvania sucks at basketball. They sucked at basketball too with the Knicks beating the Sixers, but they suck at baseball. And I was like, wow, that's actually really good. Everything wins except for these two. So I was like, all right, well, let's go. And also, here's the other thing I like about that combination: a lot of lineup factor. A good amount of BABIP. It doesn't use average runs allowed and average runs scored very much. It doesn't use team ERA. So you're relying on the starting pitcher a lot, and you're relying on the batting lineups, and you're not relying on the team ERA at all. So, well, I think that there should be more of a percentage in here, and we could add one. I mean, we could go into this combination string. Here's something cool to do. I haven't done this yet in a video. Let's talk about that. So combination 213. Let's say that I want to change 213 around. Okay. Like I want to do something to it. Like I really like it, except I also want to take team ERA right here. So here's combination 213. I want to make bullpen ERA factor, instead of being 0.6%, I want to make it 5%. Okay. Now I've just upped it a lot. What does that do to the results? Refresh. It still goes 9-2. It's fine. Didn't screw up anything. So look, that's now 5% right here. Great. So we just changed combination 213 and I like it. So we're going with it today. Great. So what have we just done? We've set up our combination we're going to use today. Now we need to set up the algorithm for today. So what do? First thing you do is you get rid of the scores from yesterday. Then we're going to do odds. You go to the odds sheet. You have the link to RotoWire's odds. You got to pay for RotoWire to get access to this though. So it's like $10 a month, I think, or $9 a month, something like that. Maybe might even be less. Just baseball is, I think, even cheaper. So the odds are here. So we go to the odds here. You're able to export the odds when you subscribe to RotoWire. You open it up, and I don't think you're going to be able to see the CSV that opens up, but you open it up. You don't even have to enable content. You just copy it, and then you go and you paste it right here. I usually paste this match destination format, which you can just do a regular paste anyway. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we've just pasted, and we have what goes down to 32 slots, which means there are 16 games, and it looks like there's a doubleheader today that doesn't have any lines for the second game yet, is what that means. So there are 16 games. So we've just pasted in the odds. Great. Now we go back to the matchup sheet. Couple things are going on here that need to get updated. We only have 11 game slots because of what happened yesterday. There were only 11 games. We need to have 16 games. How do you make this show 16 games instead of 11 games? The answer is it's a little bit touchy, but you got to pay attention to what I'm doing exactly here. You need to highlight the last two rows, but you can't do it like this. Don't do that. You need to go here. You need to highlight till you have the entire area. Then you put the mouse on the bottom right till it turns into a black plus sign, and you start pulling it down. And let's go down too far. We pulled it down and we got way past 16 games. Here's our 16th game. As you can see, here's the teams and stuff. So we got there, we got our 16 games, but now we have too many. How do we get rid of these too many? You cannot do this. Do not do this and do not try to delete. Nope, that's going to break stuff. You got to do it a different way. Go down and highlight a blank row at the bottom and do the same thing with the mouse at the bottom right and pull it up, and this will clear out the area that was blank games. And now we have this thing set up for 16 games, and it is, you know, it's kind of funny because you can do a really fast job updating this file. It's not going to be super accurate or as accurate as possible, but you can do a really, really fast job. So we've got 16 game slots. Look over at your pitcher year column. Everybody should be set at 2024. So change this to 2024 if you have any pitching stat that was not 2024 from yesterday. Now they're all at 2024. So we've got a setup and everything's looking good except for one thing. You got to look at the lineup factor next. Everybody's lineup factor is 0. That's because we haven't put in lineups yet. So let's go do that. We're going to go to the lineup sheet. Here's the lineup sheet. This is where the lineups go. The first thing you can do is you can clear contents or press the delete button, and that clears out this area for the lineups from yesterday. Then you can go to the link that's over here, which is RotoWire's lineups. I'll show you how to get there on the interwebs. You go to Fantasy Sports, you go to MLB, and you go to lineups and daily lineups. All these lineups are in expected status right now. They will be confirmed throughout the day. And this is a process that you actually, if you want to get this as accurate as possible, you want to go here throughout the day. Once they name these lineups as confirmed, you want to go there and copy and do this again. But here's what you do. You do Control A in Google Chrome, if you're in Google Chrome. If you're not in Google Chrome or you're on a Mac device or something, it's not going to work properly. Because the way this code is written on Google, it comes out of Google Chrome is a certain way, and that's how we do this. So Control A, Control C, and then paste match destination formatting right here in cell L1. That just pasted all the lineups down here. Then you go into this blue area, which is a pivot table right here, and you right-click inside of it and you choose refresh. And that just refreshed all the lineups. Okay. Now what you do is you browse these lineups to see if there are any errors. And I wish there was. I'm going to create an error to show you how to fix it. And you're also going to look for pitcher names. But the quickest way to know whether or not you need to change any pitcher names is by going to the matchup sheet and look and see if there's a lineup factor that's a 0 anywhere. There are 2 zeros. 2 zeros. There's a 0 here and a 0 here. They are zeros because these pitcher names are abbreviated in the lineup sheet, and we need to put their full names in the lineups pivot. What do I mean by that? As you scroll down, you will see the first one, which will be Simeon probably. This guy, Simeon Woods Richardson. It's S. Woods Richardson, but it needs to be his exact name, which is this. So you can copy the name from the odds sheet, go into the lineup sheet, and paste it right over this. Once you do one name, you see that his name will change all the way down, and it will fix itself. The other one is Jordan Montgomery, right here. We can just type that really fast, Jordan Montgomery. And then let's go look back at the matchup sheet, and everybody has a lineup factor that is not 0. And that's great. So we've got lineup factors. We've got lineups. We don't have any errors in the lineups off to the right. So I'm going to create one for you to show you what that is like. let's pretend that on St. Louis, Mike Ciani doesn't exist. So let's go to the matrix sheet. So within the matrix sheet, we have a list of players. I'm just going to remove Mike Ciani from the list to show you what happens. In the lineup sheet, once if you don't have a player or a player is on the wrong team, you get this pink errors that show up here. That means you need to add this player's name. The player has a full name, and the player also has an abbreviated roster name. The full name goes in what's called stats name. We're going to call it stats full name is really what it is. And then the abbreviated name is the name that shows up in the lineup sheet. It happens to be the same for Mike Ciani. They did not abbreviate his name because his name was short enough. But as you can see with like Luis Angel Acuna, it's El Acuna. And so whatever the abbreviated name is that shows up in this column ends up being the abbreviated name that you need to put into the matrix over here. Full name, team, this is a formula that you pull down, and the abbreviated name goes here. That's how you update anybody's name that does not appear properly in the lineups. Those errors show up over here. Okay, great. So we don't have any errors because it's only expected lineups, and we already have all these players in our matrix list. Now, we go to data, and there's a query. Go to refresh all, data, refresh all your queries. Your queries are a player stat query and a pitcher stat query, and then all the pivot tables refresh as well. And so I wanted to do that because it'll show you the batting order pivot and where you might have some holes. Why do we have holes? What's going on? Why do we have holes in here? We have holes because something's wrong with the roster slot. Either it's a brand new player or somebody got traded or something. So for example, Boston's 6th spot is missing. Why is that? Okay, let's go look at Boston's 6th spot for the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Grissom. What's going on with Grissom? Vaughn Grissom is making his first start of the season for Boston because he's been in AAA. That is an acceptable hole in this batting pivot. That makes sense why he's not in here. He doesn't have any stats yet for 2024, so that's why he's not in here. What about Houston's 7th spot? For all you who wondered why I charge money to do this, this is what you got to do every day, everybody. This is why. This is why I'm not doing it, because I can't afford to do this all day long and not get paid at least like minimum wage for a fast food job to do this. That's why I'm not doing this. Houston, 7th spot. What do we do? Loperfido making his first start. That's fine, making his first start. What about Colorado's 9th spot? What's going on with him? I'm guaranteeing it's going to be somebody who's making their first start this season. Colorado's 9th spot. It's a long video, folks, because we're doing the whole update process. Colorado's 9th spot is Jordan Beck. Jordan Beck is also making his first start. So all those errors are fine. What about this guy who's got a 2 here? Who's got a 2? What's going on with that? That means that somebody's listed twice, but that's because there's a doubleheader, I think, probably today. So that's fine. Or somebody that gets traded is going to be listed as a 2 as well, and it's going to compound their stats a little bit, but we're not even going to get into that. All right, what else do we have to do? We have to update team pitching and team batting stats. Those are located under stats, team stats. We got to download 4 of these: batting basic, batting advanced. And I tried to connect this automatically through a data connection. It wouldn't work. I couldn't get the token to work with the login for RotoWire. I'm not smart enough in Python. I didn't try to get ChatGPT to do it for me. It's just a pain in the butt because it has to use your login as a token. And so when I send this file out to everybody, you need to have your own login. So you'd have to add your own code essentially in to do that. And I just do this instead, folks. I just download them one by one. It doesn't take that long. It's really not that big of a deal. So you download them one by one, and I'm going to show you where they go. So there's a batting basic and a batting advanced. The first one I'm copying, which I know you can't see, is the basic batting. Basic batting goes off to the right here. It's this one. Starts right here. Paste. That's the basic batting. Then there's going to be the advanced batting. Is the next one. Copy that. Advanced batting goes right here. So the advanced one is always the one that's listed first. It's that first cell right under the yellow. Right here, it's like this. When you zoom in. I have like 2024 stats go, but this is where advanced goes, and this is where the basic goes. Then we got to go to pitching and do the same thing. Pitching. This is basic pitching. Copy. Basic pitching goes here. This is the basic one. And the advanced goes here. Copy. And advanced goes over here. Okay. So that is actually all of the copy pasting that needs to be done. Let's go over to the matchup sheet and we do our last double check. Does every pitcher have a stat? If one of these pitchers didn't have a stat, like say there was an error and somebody didn't have stats for 2024, it'll show up as an error like this. You would have to add whatever pitching stats they have from whatever year they have in the pitcher sheet. And you'd want to do it somewhere where the 2023 pitching stats are. You'd have to like type Sixto Sanchez, his team, whatever stats from whatever year, and then whatever year it was, what you would put here. But luckily, we don't have to do that a lot as we get more deeper into the season and you change the pitching year over there. So we are ready. You just go and you refresh the day pivot sheet. And voila, you now have a look at the day. Now, okay. So our day has something like Cleveland as the #1 pick as an underdog. And it's got Minnesota beating the White Sox, and it's got Atlanta beating Seattle and stuff like that. I'm not going to go through every game today because I'm exhausted with this as it is. But it did have Cleveland as #1, so we will just glance at that game and see why that's happening, because Hunter Brown has an ERA of 9.68. That's why. And Houston's also not nearly as good as they were last year. So Carrasco's not bad. So Cleveland to win is the underdog pick of the day and the pick of the day. The last pick of the day that I'm doing here in April and for a long time. So that's that. Now, we're not done if you wanted to run the macro. So I cleared out the macro already from yesterday. Well, the TQ pivot is cleared out as of right now. Well, what you can do is you can go and you can start view macro, run. Now what's happening is it is starting to run all of the combinations. I am not going to make you sit through all 500 combinations, but I'm going to make you sit for about 20 or 30 seconds because I want to get enough in here to show you what we're going to do to adjust the pivot. So as we sip the coffee. So what this does is this is running all 499 combinations. You can press escape and it will stop this. We're going to end it. So what it did is it got 24 combinations done. Let's go over to the TQ pivot and refresh the TQ pivot here. And we're going to restructure this thing a little bit. So open up the field list, right click inside and go to show field list. We're going to grab the team that is in the row labels here. We're going to grab the team and we're going to pull team to the top. Pulling team to the top and then shrinking this or collapsing all, right click on the first team name and go to collapse entire field. This gives you the order of the games and their average margin and average runs. I like to take that and I like to paste it over here. Okay. I like to paste it right here because what it does is it shows you the macro average of all combinations and where the teams are in order. And it's just really helpful. Come on, paste. Paste now. Why did you paste? Oh, there it goes. It shows you the teams in order and it compares to the list that you have. Now, on a day like today, where unfortunately there's a double header, it screws it up because there are two games here between Detroit and St. Louis. There's this, it favors St. Louis when Gibson is pitching, but it favors Detroit when Manning is pitching. It averages the two teams together in that pivot table, which screws it up. It actually only has Detroit up here as a running average. So it screws it up when you're looking at double headers, and that's annoying. But every other game looks fine. So that's how you do that. I'm not going to include it today because I'm tired, and this is the last file we're sending out today. So I'm clearing out the T-Cube pivot sheet and leaving it blank on this last version today, and you can run it yourself. And there you go. So that is what happens every day if you want to update the MLB algorithm. As you can see, it's like a half hour of updating to get it right, depending on how many errors are in here. And then you've got to re-update this lineup sheet throughout the day to get the lineups in here, because the lineups that are here are going to update. I also haven't tried to make a data connection to this because it was a little too complicated for my liking. So you do have to go and harness it yourself by doing Control A and Control C and pasting it right where you got to paste it in this area right here. All right, so that is the last baseball video of April and the last video for a while. If you're new to the program here and you don't have a copy or whatever, you can go buy this for $50 on kenbraverman.com. And what you'll get from me is a very brief version of the current day. I'll update the odds and I'll update the lineups whenever the day you send it, which is a very, very quick process. But I'm not going to do really any of the other updating. So it's not going to take me more than like 5 or 10 minutes. And it's something you can do yourself. If you just want to update the odds and the lineups, you're going to get a look at this that's pretty good. It's not going to be as great as if you updated all the other team stats and made sure all the lineups were perfect, but it'll still be pretty good. And it's still probably going to work pretty well. So that is the baseball video. Good luck, everybody. Go Guardians. May all your picks be winning. Enjoy baseball for the summer. I am working on other stuff, and hopefully we'll get my right eye working so that I can see more than in front of my nose with it, because it's been annoying to have that cataract for over a year now. All right. Good luck, everybody. May all your picks be winning.